What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 75. That's a real thing, guys.
Damn.
We're hitting it. We're like 25 away from 100. That's how that works.
Congratulations, Tim.
Episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by the coolest dudes in video games, Colin Moriarty, and Greg the Builder Miller.
Hey, that's me.
Can you
Master
believe
Builder
this
Greg Miller.
33-year-old man is single?
Now, what I've done, ladies and gentlemen, is I've decided it's time
He's
to
available,
spruce
ladies.
up the Lego Dimensions portal. It's looked bare bones too long. So I bought this Lego superheroes.
And you
Batman
opened it
v
like
Superman.
a
Classic
5-year-old
Greg
boy
unboxing
would.
fashion.
Hey, you know what? I got to get inside to the cream. I don't care about the case.
This is not okay, Greg. I'm okay with ripping it open.
Now,
I don't
it's
even
ridiculous.
physically understand how this happens.
Some of the this was bought at VidCon down at Downtown Disney. So some of the smush is from the bag. The bag had it smushed, and then it's got this little tearaway thing here. You pop in, you pull open. So imagine the box shouldn't normally look like this. Yes, I wouldn't have torn it up like this. I wouldn't have torn through it, but it just happened that way because the box is already weakened. Its outer structure had been weakened by my luggage, and it's tripped from VidCon to here.
Yeah, but I mean, like that looks like something that Kevin would do, but not even. Like Kevin wouldn't even do that type of damage to the
couldn't do
DC
stuff, yeah.
Comics.
His hands don't have
superheroes.
his hands don't have the growth. They don't have the pull. They don't have the power.
They don't got the Kevin's hands got some pull, Greg.
Look at them. They're tiny. You put those hands in. Anyway, so what I'm doing is I bought this not to build the Batman v Superman playset that it comes with.
Obviously
but
not.
instead to get the bat signal and put it onto my portal.
Got it.
So now I'm building out that portion of the thing to put
How
on
did you
there.
feel about the Lego Dimensions section at the Lego store?
Piss poor. Really an embarrassment, honestly, that there wasn't more there. Same thing with the superhero section. There just wasn't enough. They have all these generic guys and all this generic Lego crap nobody wants. But where was all the superhero stuff? Where was all the Dimensions stuff? You know what I mean? Like they needed more for sure. I couldn't even get every Dimensions character. You should be able to get every Dimensions thing there. Period.
We went to Target last night.
Yeah.
Me and Kevin.
Sure.
Kevin
You guys
and
go.
I.
You guys go there a lot.
We do. And we ventured through the toy section.
Yeah.
As we do. We ventured through the video game section, as we do.
One of the moments I knew I was special to is when you brought me the Ninjago characters for Lego Dimension.
Yeah.
That meant a lot to me.
And there was a whole bunch of that shit. There's new fun packs. There's Bane.
Yeah, I got him.
Kevin was this close to getting you Bane.
No, I got Bane.
Good thing you didn't get him.
Yeah. Thank you,
There you
bud.
go,
Don't worry
Kevin.
about it. I got all the DC characters, Ghostbusters characters, Doctor Who characters.
They did have quite the Lego Dimensions thing though, which is what made me think that Lego needs to step their game
And
up.
that's why,
They're
like,
not
I
even paying
understand
for their own shit.
you're a little Lego store. You don't have, room for everything Lego Dimensions because it's such a smash hit.
So anyway, so now you're building. I appreciate that.
I'm just-
That's the fun of it though. I do like and appreciate that you can kind of just make whatever the hell you want on top of this thing.
Yeah. I'm having to come up with on the fly here as master builder because like they have the play set obviously builds the bat signal in a different fashion than what I'm going to be available to. So I think I
Yeah.
figured it out. What I'm going to do. I'm going to do this.
Okay.
And now I can put that anywhere I want on the portal.
I'm proud of you.
And of
Greg.
course, I was foolish to wait this long because now the story pack that'll come out in September is the Ghostbusters story pack that has a new shelf for the portal itself. But will I like the movie enough to represent the new movie?
No.
Who knows? No, that's the prediction?
The answer
okay.
is absolutely not.
Okay, my
ladies and
apologies.
gentlemen, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Every week we get together to talk about video games and all the things that we love. You can get it early at patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. If you throw money our way, you'll get the goodies, as Greg likes to say.
I do like to say that.
If you want it for free, you can stay right here on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and make sure you subscribe because YouTube decided to do this whole purge thing.
Yeah, that
Get rid
fucked
of a
us.
whole. We hit the 200K. We celebrated. Now we're back to 194. So let's get back to 200K so we can
I think
celebrate
it's a good
again.
thing, the purge.
The purge is a bad
I
thing.
tweeted about that.
It's a horrible
Because why would
thing.
you, I mean, assuming it works, and it doesn't seem like it worked, because it seems like some people that like
We're already,
were
really trying
losing
to
their
do stuff.
subscriptions, or like why would you want fake numbers? I would
Because-
rather have the real amount of people that are actually watching us.
But I was that they were eliminating people who, I'm more upset that people who wanted to stay subscribed got
Right, but
booted.
I'm saying in theory, the purge.
theory, sure.
In the
In
purge
theory,
is
it's
a great
fine,
idea.
but
In
at
theory,
the
the
same
movie
time,
The Purge is a great idea. too.
Yeah, exactly. They're on number 3.
I know.
That's crazy. But I think that the number, I'm just upset because more numbers just means more for everything.
I'd love
I
to
want
see-
the views to be accurate. I don't give a fuck about subscribers. Give us 10 million.
I'd love
Make
to
people
see-
think we're bigger than we are. That's
I'd
our
love to
whole
see
shtick.
Twitter do the same thing. I tweeted that yesterday. I'd love to see Twitter erase all of the old accounts and inactive accounts and fake accounts and spam accounts to see what the numbers really are. There's little things you can do on Twitter to figure out like what your real count is. I don't know. I just think that it's because if the vanity numbers all go away, if everyone is hit,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter. Then everyone loses their subscribers.
Yeah. But
it was funny to see those Funhouse idiots dip below or
their
million again.
Dude,
dorks.
that sucks. They lost like 60K.
They're dorks. They were lying.
insane.
Kovic did it on purpose.
I've seen there were some channels that lost like 300,000 people.
I heard PewDiePie lost like 600,000 or something.
That's
like
insane.
But again, those are not real. I mean, assuming that it worked. But I think YouTube tweeted out something saying that they don't know what was happening.
Yeah, they did say we are aware of the problem.
Yep.
So it didn't seem like a real.
They don't care.
Yeah, such a weird thing.
Nobody cares.
Anyways, subscribe to us if you like us, because that would make me happy. Also, the other channel too. We only lost 1,000 over there, but still it's 1,000 people.
That's chump change to Kind of Funny Prom.
No, I like it.
Kind of Funny Prom doesn't need anybody.
It absolutely does. So, guys, I want to talk to you about video games.
I'd love to talk about video games.
Greg, we were at VidCon last week.
We
got these beautiful Lego
Exactly.
toys.
These big, beautiful Legos.
Big, beautiful kids. And we were on a panel about indie versus AAA. And
Right.
I thought it was a pretty good discussion. It was us. It was Boogie.
Yeah.
It was
Ashley from CNET.
Ashley Esqueva.
I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Escalada or
Please.
something like that.
Escalada?
You've heard me try to
Escalade.
pronounce the last
I think
names.
it's Esqueva.
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up.
Anyway,
Everybody,
she's
Colin's
cool.
looking it up.
And then who else was on that panel? Oh, Lawrence from
He was late, so
from
he doesn't
Funhouse,
count.
but he was really
I heard
late.
that's why they took away some of his subscribers, because he was so late.
They're like, fuck you.
Oh, you're right. Ashley Esqueda.
Esqueda?
ESQUEDA.
Oh, I thought it was a V. Whatever. Good for her. She's great. So we talked about the whole thing of indie versus AAA. And
Right.
we've had this discussion on our show many times, but it was interesting kind of talking to guys that are a little bit more PC focused or
Dork focused. Yeah.
And they just obviously had different opinions about the whole thing. But it got me thinking about the idea of back in the day, there was a clearly defined AAA, AA, shovelware, licensed games, ecosystem of everything kind of fits into these little buckets.
Sure.
What is the 2016 market share? Like, how does that break down, and what are the categories that we can?
I mean, I've talked about it at length on a million different shows and panels, but they all run together, right? And the fact that I think the middle has fallen away, but I do think it's making a comeback. But basically, the middle's fallen away, and that was always going to be your THQ, your licensed games, your Dora the Explorer, all these games that were just shoveled out there, and then also the games that you now see, as I'm saying, they're coming back. Deep Silver putting out for some reason, your Homefront: The Revolution, your Mighty Number 9, games that are not AAA and are not indie and are in this weird space in the middle where they're half baked. And it's weird. It's interesting to see the reaction of that middle tier coming back and what people think of it, because it has for so long been there's AAAs and there's indies, and that's what it's been. When you saw THQ fall with UDraw, when you saw a bunch of other mid-tier publishers like that start clamping down and not putting out stuff, and Capcom getting burned and not being able, not putting out their games that they thought were going to be AAA, you saw this middle section dry up, and that's where it's been. And that's why, like, when we got asked to be on that panel, and it was indie versus AAA fight, and it was like, well, I don't think one exists without the other anymore. I think if there's no Uncharted 4, if there's no marquee title, if there's no tentpole title, indie games aren't enough to move units and consoles, and then we're just left with these PC dorks. And then in the flip flop of it, if indies fall away, are you reading about games every day if you're only getting 6 really great AAA titles a year spread out, delayed, all these other problems? Mm-hmm. It's this weird. That's the ecosystem right now. But you're starting to see all of a sudden people who have moved from being indie, like in indies, and that's the weird. I hate on that panel we talked about it, right? That I hate even having this argument or this conversation anymore, because what are we really defining as indie? Is it that you are an independent game studio, or is it that you are a small team making a game on your own and you're getting funding from PlayStation, or is it because it's that the whole thing where, like, well, Insomniac Games then is an independent game studio, right? But they're huge and they're awesome. They have a whole bunch of different partnerships, and how does that work and where does that go anymore?
I mean, but when you look across the different forms of media, I think that is true as well. Like when you look at music, like with rap music, Drake was independent for a long time just because he didn't have a label representing him, but he had labels backing him, which was the difference. You look at us, we're independent, but in a lot of ways, it's like we get to kind of coerce with people that are very not independent. So it's like we're kind of in that same place. Like we would be the equivalent to any of those companies.
Insom, no way.
You don't think so?
We're not cool as Insomniac yet, Ted.
I
Bryce.
like Yacht Club Games.
Fuck yeah. God damn it. I hate Nick. I hate
like
that he
it.
started this. I hate that Colin knows it annoys me.
So
let on that it was annoying.
So we talk a lot of shit about PC gamers, but it's all in jest. And
of course.
In seriousness, the PC ecosystem is typically always well ahead of the curve. And they're ahead of the curve, obviously, in power. They're ahead of the curve in many ways in advancements in the way we play. Yeah, in the way we download and enjoy games like Steam. And so I think we can look to PC games for answers to both the things that Greg had mentioned. PC gamers, first of all, I mean, something we didn't mention, PC gamers have been well ahead of the curve in the digital revolution. No one buys their PC games in physically at all. I mean, that's just not a thing that happens.
Went away forever ago,
And
it happened so quietly that console gamers didn't even notice.
And so, like, while console gamers continue to cling on to the idea that they're going to be buying games in stores in 10 or 20 years and they're not, PC gamers already know that that's going to be the case forever because they've grappled onto that. So they were ahead of the curve there, right?
Huh?
They've been ahead of the curve in terms of the way we ingest games, in terms of, like, you know, PSN and Xbox, really Xbox Live was the thing on original Xbox, and then Xbox 360 really advanced it, and the way we have a marketplace and all those kinds of things. But it was really Steam that taught us about how we download games easily, about how we have easy discovery tools, how we have things like forums and help desk stuff tied into the system, how we have different pricing structures and tiers and flash sales, wish lists, all of those kinds of things. So they're ahead of the curve there. And I think they're ahead of the curve with the indie versus AAA thing because actually, like a majority of PC.
We have to take a time out, everybody.
Where were we? What's
Sorry about that. So I had to go help our landlord with his computer.
Okay.
So I'm back.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I was saying was that the PC, to catch everything up, even though everyone just heard it, but I didn't, is that PC gaming has been well ahead of the curve, and I think they're now ahead of the curve in the indie space versus the AAA space. So the AAA space is well established on PC. It's been established in some form for 30 plus years on the PC space, more than anywhere else. And but I think that the exploration of price points that I was talking about on Steam, the accessibility of the games and the ease of buying games and the ease of developing these ecosystems in one unified kind of place, and I'm not talking about on a PC or a Mac, I'm talking about on Steam, has cultivated a place where there's a 99-cent game, there's a free game, there's a $5 game, there's a $10 game, there's a $20 game, $15 game, and these are all what we would classify as indie games. So I think that the PC has just been well ahead of the curve, and I think we're going to start seeing that and have been seeing that seep into the console space. And to Greg's point, I think that what's interesting is that publishers are starting to explore not the indie kind of, they're not indie by nature, but they're independent. They're exploring more independent pricing schemes.
Sure.
An example is Square Enix just released Adventures of Mana, surprise, on Vita. Been playing it. It's fun. It's a little vanilla, but it's fun. And they're charging like $12 for it. Mm-hmm. Sony releases Ratchet & Clank for $40, brand new, right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Recore by Microsoft is going to be $40.
Mighty number 9, $30.
Mighty number 9, $30 at retail. I think $20 digitally.
Mm-hmm. EA puts out Unravel. It's cheaper.
Right, exactly. So everyone's kind of exploring these spaces. And then we see Sony San Diego exploring with the free-to-play or games as a service model. So I think you're seeing a lot of this space. So I think that the walls between AAA and indie are kind of dissolving. Not necessarily in terms of quality, because we know a AAA game when we see it in terms of quality. And I think that's what we're talking about mostly. Because like a game like Yooka-Laylee, for instance, which is totally independent and independently funded, could be a AAA 3D platformer. So like I don't know, that word has kind of lost its meaning.
So that's kind of what I wanted to ask you guys about is, so obviously indie AAA, we have ideas in our head of what that means, but what is AA? Is that still a thing? Is A still a thing? Because I remember 2 generations ago, it very much was. Like when you look at specifically, I think Nintendo is easy to look at because they have so many franchises to themselves. You can kind of delineate which is which, right?
Sure.
We have the Zeldas and the Marios that are the AAAs. You go down to the Mario or the Metroid and the Star Foxes, right? And it starts going down. The Donkey Kongs, Mario Kart would also be AAA.
Hell yeah.
Mario Smash Golf. Bros, AAA. Mario Golf.
Triple fucking A. But quadruple A.
That's the thing is like on Game Over Greggy, which is coming out this week for you guys, one of the topics was the rating system of movies where it's like PG, R. They had to make that PG-13 to kind of explain the middle ground between the two. And I think like that is where the Mario Golfs and stuff like that would fit.
Sure.
And I think that as, you know, time has changed and how games have evolved, a lot of the genres even have changed from that. So what 3D platformers, I'm not sure a AAA 3D platformer can still exist anymore. Like I think that Yooka-Laylee, no matter what went into it, I don't know if it would even qualify as AAA.
Well, I think it's a matter of scale in terms of the context of that particular genre. What I mean by that is, I think Ratchet & Clank is a 3D platformer, and it's currently a AAA game. So like, but sold at a $40. I do, but it's sold at a $40 price point. So I don't think we can use necessarily the price point of the game to say whether it's AAA or not. Homefront, The Revolution is a $60 game, and that is in no way, shape, or form a AAA game. Not even fucking close. You know, so I think we have these two kind of competing things that we often use to kind of we're conflating things, and we all do it. where we think a $60 game's AAA, a $40 game's like kind of the A game, the $20 game, or the $30 game, like Carnival Games on Wii was a fucking sold like 10 million copies or something, but it was a piece of shovelware. And then you have the indie space with the digital stuff. But we've talked about this a lot in the past, where I think the pricing structure is not necessarily going to be commiserate to the quality of the game or vice versa, because you have a lot of great free-to-play games that people enjoy. And then on the other side of the scale, and I do believe this, that a studio can one day get away with charging $100 for a game if it's so fucking good and so AAA that it goes beyond a $60 game. Yet I don't think that the $60 price point that Uncharted 4 was at makes it any less of a AAA game. Uncharted 4 is about as AAA as it gets.
Yeah.
So I think it's more complicated than that. The good news though is that I think that, to my point about kind of commenting about the PC space and the kind of forward-looking nature of the PC space, is that we are going to we have a dearth, I think, of stuff, of exploration right now in that price point, and in terms of exploring what indie and A and AAA mean. But in the PC space, we don't have that. And so if the past is any indication about how console gaming is catching up to PC gaming in those respects, then I think we're going to get to that point as well. And then I think you have a lesser delineation between indie and AAA. What is that fucking huge PC game that was funded like something, it's like $80 million or something like that? You know what I'm talking about?
Not off the top of my head. No.
Like it's like I wish I can remember what his name is.
Star Citizen?
So yeah, something like that. Like some game that's like that made by an independent studio with no publisher per se.
I think it might be Star Citizen.
But is made for AAA budgets. There are massive AAA games we love that were made for not even remotely that budget. But that's an independent game.
So I guess that's kind of what I was thinking about. Is it how much the funding goes into it, like into the actual game? Is it the fact of how flagship it is for the company making it? A game like Mario Maker, not that much money necessarily need to be putting in to make that game, but that was the Nintendo's flagship title that year. So does that make it AAA? It's obviously not indie. You know, we know that, but like, where does that fall then? Is that where the A goes in? Is AA even still a thing? I think that, and I don't know if Greg agrees.
I'm listening.
But I think that, did you find the Kickstarter?
I'm trying. Star Citizen brought in $2.1 million.
That's not what I'm thinking of then. Okay. I think people, like, there's constant rounds of funding. Like GameSpot kept writing about it every time it would reach like a new $1 million milestone. They wrote about it like every week.
Some PC game?
Okay. Yeah, it was a PC. I don't remember what it was. I'm sure people out there know, and they're probably going to fucking talk about it in the comments, and that's great because I don't know what it is. But I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It might not be 80 million, it might be 40 million or something, but some extraordinary amount of money that these guys continue to collect as they create this game. I think, per your point, I don't know if Greg agrees, is that you can't, like, Rocket League was made for $2 million, which is nothing to make a game for, and has made 60 times its amount spent in profit, or I guess gross revenue, not necessarily profit. And I feel like Rocket League is a AAA game. You know, like, it was made by a small studio on the side, and it's easy to understand and it's bite-sized, but it's not what we would also look at as an indie game, because it has such a huge reach and so much popularity that I think things start to get blurred, where you're like, it's because of, in other words, you have to judge it based on like a bunch of criteria as opposed to just one. If you looked at Rocket League and like, it was made for $2 million on the side by an independent studio that does contract work for other people, which is what they usually did at Psyonix, then you say, yeah, it's an independent game. In that respect, it is. Its popularity is in no way, shape, or form independent. That's like when a musician or a band, an indie rock band, becomes a huge band. Well, you're not independent anymore. You know, but you are independent if you don't have a label.
Yeah.
By definition. But if you have a platinum record, don't know how independent you are anymore, because that's not what we mean when we say independent. What we mean by that in the music scene is it's indie. We know what you and I know what indie music is.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm saying is that I don't think that there are a lot of definitions.
That's the problem. Is I think honestly, I don't look at Rocket League and say it's a AAA game, but in the same breath, yeah, you're right, it's an indie game, and I'd never really bring them up. It's the fact that we're trying to turn around and use the ancient terminology, and I say ancient meaning that, 9 years ago when I started at IGN, I remember the E3 meetings where we went in there and Dunham had a spreadsheet, and we went through all the games and we labeled them AAA, AA, A, B, C, so you knew the importance of them and where they fell. And I don't know if we're trying to apply that now in a world that doesn't matter in the same way. When you say this is a great indie game, you mean this is a great game made by a very small studio usually. You know what I mean? And that's why it gets so weird when people are like, yeah, indie games like No Man's Sky, and it's like, well, it's kind of, sort of, PlayStation's helping. Indie games like this thing that is being Kickstarted that's being supported by PlayStation, or this indie game that's only being published on Xbox. It's like, well, then they're second party, and then how does that? There's no it's all murky now. Everything's mixed in there. You don't say, man, Ratchet and Clank was a great indie game because it was made by an indie studio. No, and Sony owns the IP and
Yeah, I mean, well, going back to what I was saying, I think Ratchet and Clank would be the solid A title in 2016. What that actually means, where it's like it has the polish of a AAA game, but the scope isn't there. I think that's kind of the big thing. Where
that makes sense. Yeah,
using the word indie, you're right. It's like there's the actual definition of it, but then there's how people use it. And we specifically, when it comes to indie games now, like that thing is, you can use that in 10 different ways, but does it feel like an indie game? Is it an indie game? Those are different questions.
Yeah,
you know, like thinking back again to the other eras when Nintendo would charge $40 for a first party game, $50 for third party. You know, on Game Boy Advance, it would be $30 for their games and $40 for the other ones. And the price points almost didn't matter because when F-Zero came out, F-Zero was not a AAA game. It had the polish, it had all the other things of it, but no one expected that game to sell super well. It didn't, but people love it. And it still kind of fit that groove where now we just don't even have that. Star Fox Zero is the closest thing, and it doesn't have the polish that the other things do. And that's because games are costing way more money now to make.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of complicating issues about, you know, in when you look at it historically about trying to talk about pricing in the cartridge era, because pricing, for instance, in the cartridge era, as you know, was based on the size of the chip. So you get NES games for $30 or $40 and you get NES games for $60 or $70. It got more pronounced on Genesis and Super Nintendo when you had games for $40 and you had games for $100. And which is why I always say games are so much cheaper than they were when we were kids, because they are. And
then not when I was a kid though. I think that's the difference. Is once we got into the GameCube era, like the games were cheaper. They're way cheaper than they are.
Well,
now.
they were $50. I mean, a AAA GameCube, right? But even a $40 game in 2002 is cheaper than a $60 game today, based on inflation. So that's the whole argument. But there's complications like about pricing at retail, and why retail I think holds the whole structure back is also because GameStop, for instance, I don't know the exact numbers, but GameStop's margin is really low on new games. They probably pay something like $47 or something like $49 for every game. So they're charging $60 for it, but they also have to pay their vendors and all these kinds of things. So they're making like a very sliver of money. It reminds me of it's a weird comparison, but there's a great book I like called The Great A&P, which is about the history of the supermarket. And they talk about like how these companies exist on like razor thin margins. And so there's no, like supermarkets exist on something like 4% margin, which is insane. Like, so there's no room for error. So like they'll buy a roll of toilet paper for 50 cents and charge you 55 cents for it. Like they're making like just little rips of money and they want to do volume. The game, I think at retail, they're held back because of these kind of Byzantine, what seem like Byzantine rules, in terms of what you're paying for the game up front and then what you can charge for it on the back end. So there's less movement there because I don't think there can be. And I would not be surprised if retail games they were going to start charging, as they already do in Canada, although money's different, $70 for a retail game. Just to get more of a margin out there, but I also think that would hasten their demise as well. So I think that a lot of the space is going to be explored not only with indie and AAA and A and all these kinds of things, with game types and pricing. It's all going to be explored digitally, because then I think that gives people more room to take risks. There are a few people to pay out. And the 70-30 split that Sony has or Microsoft has with their publisher partners for any game, whether it's $1 or whether it's $60 on digital, is just easier for them to wrap their heads around.
And that's what you're talking about, right? That's why, you know, as much as we give it shit, PC is a superior platform and a superior place.
It absolutely is.
I mean, for years that has been happening. It has been that way. That like when we first launched and started doing Let's Plays, we immediately did Stick Shift or whatever, the game where you're jacking off a car, and it's like that's awesome, and that exists because they can get that and they can put it up and they can get it on PC and get cut through all this bullshit. Now it runs the risk, of course, like the App Store where it's so accessible, there's so much garbage on it, then you can't find what you want.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, Steam is a pile of shit at the same time that it's a beacon of like hope and freedom.
It's like Kevin.
Exactly.
Pros and cons.
Like it really is worth noting and reiterating what Greg said, because I think it's really true, is that the limited nature of the console ecosystems is advantageous for game discovery with a more quality oriented slant. That's not to say that everything's quality oriented. As we say on PS I Love You a lot, 90% of what's released on the PSN probably no one would even miss it ever. Like, and then you have like I would love if PSN literally released 5 or 6 games a month, and we're just like, these are the games, and we literally stand behind all of these games. But they give you choice and all that kind of stuff. Steam is so open, like iOS and like Android, that there is no dearth of fucking nonsense and garbage on there, and people with taking advantage of things and just straight copying games and early access and green line.
But the excitement is
so
you
it's
get
a little bit
in,
of a mess too. It's not all good.
You can get in there, you can cut your teeth, you can make a game, and then you can turn around and make another game. You can get in there, you can make a name for yourself, like Steve Gaynor did with Gone Home, where it's like, okay, great, and then that gets to all these other platforms. But for Tacoma, it gives him a chance to get it on consoles at the jump.
Yeah.
You can go out and be that indie studio you think of on PC, and then become that mid-tier studio that nobody thinks of as AAA, but nobody thinks of as indie anymore. And be this, make the games you want to and grow and change. And that's where it's gotten so awkward in terms of this terminology, is the fact that there's these indie studios, but when we talked about indie studios, we did mean people in their garage, but they hit. Not all of them, obviously, tons of them closed, but some hit. And then they become like us, where it's like, we're moving out of a spare bedroom into a studio and And then it's like what you're talking about. Where are we in that discussion anymore of what exactly it is?
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's, I think, new terminology that we kind of have to add to, like free to play, I think is a totally different section, as is competitive multiplayer gaming.
Right.
I think those games, like from a price structure standpoint, are kind of on their own, and then from there's AAA of each or indie of each.
Yeah, you start getting into subgenres.
Exactly. But I think that those qualify enough to be their own genres, and in a lot of ways eliminate the shovelware that we used to have. Shovelware is now fallen into the free to play. It's fallen into the app store.
Yeah, there's no room for shovelware anymore. Just by nature of a savvier consumer with more information. Is going to make fewer poor choices, and I think that's kind of the way you're seeing it now. So, not that Carnival Games is Carnival Games is the ultimate example. For people that don't know what that is, you should go look it up. Carnival Games was a Wii game, one of the best-selling Wii games, and it wasn't bad, but that was quintessential shovelware. That was an afterthought of the Register. It was a cheaper game. It was just silly. It was stupid. It took advantage of what we did. But I agree with you. Free to play, games as a service, games as a platform. Which I'm surprised we're not seeing more of yet from big AAA developers.
I think that we are. We often talk about how the open world thing, we're seeing a bunch of open world games in reaction to whatever. It's only been the last couple of years that people like us have been talking about, games should be platforms, blah, blah, blah. We're seeing that. Street Fighter V going. People, hesitant to it, and there's a lot of issues with it, but that's where you kind of roll through figuring it out, where in a couple of years, I think we're going to see that a lot more.
Sure. Although, in Capcom's defense, and I don't really want to say it that way, I don't think that was their intention with Street Fighter V. I think that they were like under the gun to get that game out. So I think if they could have had taken that back and had 6 more months, they probably would have. The game would have looked really differently. What I was surprised about, Tim, was when Gran Turismo Sport was announced that it's a real game. Like, that was the one where I was like, Sony's going to make this free and just have in perpetuity a 10-year, 15-year, 20-year Gran Turismo game where there are literally in 10 years hundreds of tracks, thousands of cars. You buy them all as you want them. They can make. I really do believe that would be a huge risk for them to take, but I also believe that, and that's why I think that Sony San Diego is testing all this shit on things that people frankly don't really care that much about.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in any disparaging way, but it's like Drawn to Death is a cool idea, but no one has any investment in that game compared to Gran Turismo. And then if these things work, and I'm not sure they're going to, but if they work, then you have an opportunity to make.
You have to get the consumer ready for it, because we talk about it all the time, right? The best platform, the one we always talk about, why isn't this platform, is Madden, is NHL, is all these sports games. Buy the base platform, and then every year the expansion pack comes out where you do buy it at a discounted rate. Those updated rosters, this new stadium, this new engine or whatever it's going to be, that's going to change it infinitely. Well, but until you can wrap your head around that as a consumer, why would you do that with your biggest titles?
Yeah, the question there though is, what's the pricing on that base install?
Sure.
When for Street Fighter V, or for things like Overwatch, or the competitive multiplayer games or these platform games. Should they be budget priced to get people into then, like, the idea is you're going to pay more over
You're going to nickel and dime, yeah.
Yeah, because that is why the mobile space works so well, is it's free or it's $1, and then we're going to get you throughout time, right?
Right.
And I think that we still see it with games. Overwatch, I was shocked. I didn't know it was $60 on consoles. That's insane. Like, that game should not be $60, And Street Fighter V, same thing. Like, I think that, until there is that shift where developers feel more comfortable at that $40 level, at the $30 level, or whatever, consumers aren't going to be comfortable having these platforms and committing to them. I mean, of course, some are. I'm talking about as an overall whole. You
figure your way around it if you're going to, let's say we're just assuming consumers are there and we want to do Madden as a platform, right? You launch the platform for free with everything restricted pretty much, except exhibition with 2 or 3 teams. That way people jump in and like, oh yeah, I do like Madden. And at the end of every game, you're like, do you want to unlock the full thing? Do you want to pay what? Maybe it's $50, maybe it's $45, whatever, with the promise of more content throughout it, or a video explaining that next year when Madden 20 whatever comes out, it'll be, you can get the roster, you can do this as we go, you can pick up more stadiums. I don't know.
Yeah. And this puts a lot of games in, I think, a really weird spot, like games like Doom or Wolfenstein or Deus Ex even, right? Like Deus Ex, it's a AAA game, but I think a lot of people don't think of it in the same way that we think of the Uncharted or games like that. Yeah. So it's like, where does that exist? Like it's a $60 game and it needs to be because that game needs money to be
years
made,
and years of
right?
high tech.
But at the same time, it kind of, at least in my opinion, it feels weird for games like that to be the same exact price as a lot of these other things, when I feel like they would, if that was a $50 game, would it sell more? I don't know.
Yeah, and this is where I think goes back to the digital thing, is that I really do believe that if we had digital only pricing, that publishers would take bigger risks and dares as in a company-wide way. And as I said before, if EA was just like, all of our games are $50 now, then what does that do to Activision and Ubisoft? Like, where does that leave them? But they can't do that. Like, they just can't do that right now. That goes back to the Overwatch thing, where I'm like, I really feel like Blizzard had to charge $60 for that game, because on console, maybe not so much on PC, but on console, our perception is that if it's not $60, it's not worth your time. Or you're like, there are so many people out there who I think are frankly like acting in a very ignorant fashion that just still do not touch games that are not on retail on a shelf for $60. And I think you're fucking totally messing up by doing that. You're also losing the battle. But for now, that, like Blizzard probably would have loved to make that game free. But like they just can't, because where's the value proposition in the console space when we look at games that are free is fucking garbage, and a lot of them are. So I think that's like a more of an optic issue than anything else, because they probably they probably had their debate internally about what they're going to do, and they realized that the lion's share of their gamers are probably on PC, but then everything has to be equal. Yeah. It's so much more complicated from a marketing perspective and from just a publisher wide perspective than I think we give credit for. So it's complicated. We're going to see an evolution of it, I think, pretty rapidly in the coming years.
Definitely.
And I really just can't wait to see these big publishers eventually just start saying, like, we're not releasing our games in retail anymore, or we're going to release them in a limited fashion. I was talking to my girlfriend yesterday about she reads a lot. She likes to buy physical books. I buy my books on Kindle. I don't like to do that, but it's just practical, right? I'd rather have my books. And I was saying that I see a future for books similar to vinyl, where in 10 years, Stephen King writes a book, and they're like, we'll make 10,000 physical copies of the book, and that's it. And that's your limited edition, and everything else is going to be available digitally, and you're going to have no choice.
Like Shovel Knight.
Exactly. And so I think that you're going to see that more and more. And wouldn't it be interesting if Ubisoft in 5 years made another Assassin's Creed game and they're like, it's digital, so you're either going to buy it or you're not, And they're still on that razor's edge with the people they have to please at Amazon and the people they have to please at GameStop, and they just aren't ready to stab everyone in the back yet, because once this happens, it creates a huge problem on the market for the people that you rely on to get your consoles and your other products out there.
Sure, get the system on the
shelves.
We've
seen it, like everybody's doing that with smaller titles, little by little by little, and I think down the road.
Yeah, ramp it up from when EA ramps it up from Unravel to Battlefield, Battlefront 3, digital only, something like that. The publishers are gonna fucking love to do this, because they cut out everyone. They don't have to manufacture shit anymore. No. They don't have to put it on trucks and send it to fucking stores and have all this semantics and their sales teams just dealing with this shit. They don't have to do it anymore. Like, they can cut their staffs down. I mean, I'm not saying that that's great, or people are going to lose their jobs probably, but they have a fiduciary obligation to their investors, and they're going to make more money and they're going to spend less money. So we'll see what happens.
Next up, I want to talk about the games coming out this year. So I got a whole list of all the stuff with release dates, or at least release months or whatever. I want to go through them, and I want to see what games do you think will get delayed, if any.
Okay.
And just kind of what your thoughts are on the impact that those games will have. Got a big old list, so we're not necessarily going to go through all of them. But so we're in July now. Halfway through the year, we've already seen a whole bunch of pretty big releases. Rocket League Collector's Edition coming to retail.
Not going to get delayed.
5th. There you go. Yeah. We're close enough that it's happening.
Yeah. Rocket League Deluxe Edition is happening.
So yeah, it's cool though. Retail, I mean, that must be huge for them. You talked to him a bit about that.
I think they're doing it in conjunction with 505, if I remember correctly, which is kind of a small A publisher.
505 is also releasing Hawken July 1st.
Right, yeah, Hawken's finally coming
in July 8th on PS4.
Yeah, I was going to say it's finally coming to PS4. Yeah, I feel like Rocket League, that's going to be a nice way for them to make some supplemental income. These are for people that, like games on their shelves. It's the same reason they're releasing Shovel Knight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how many people for Rocket League buy it. Oh, I want to support them and I want it on my shelf. And how many people are like the people you're talking about, Colin, who don't buy digital games, have heard about Rocket League, obviously, and now it's there on a disc. They see it at Walmart, like, why not? I'll pick it up.
My suspicion is we can just ask Jeremy in a few weeks and find out.
Well, there you go. We should do that.
Jeremy, expect a phone call.
Monster Hunter Generations coming to 3DS. That'll be big for them. Ark Survival of the Fittest finally coming to PS4. July 19th.
I'll believe it when I see it and ride a big old beaver.
Interesting stuff going on with that studio too, with a lawsuit and all that kind of stuff, I believe. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that does on PS4. Sold over 1 million copies on Xbox One. It's a pretty big game.
Yeah.
Killstrain, July 19th, July 12th for PlayStation Plus users.
Not getting delayed.
No. Killstrain.
It's gonna be interesting to see what it does.
Yeah,
what does it
this
do?
is one of those test beds I was talking about. This is one of the 3 test beds with Guns Up was already out. This is the next one, and then Drawn to Death. These will be the Sony San Diego experiments to see how these games as a service work for them.
I Am Setsuna coming to PC and PS4 July 19th. What are you thinking about this?
Super stoked about it. I think the game looks fantastic.
Yeah.
What I'm interested in is with the stealth release, as I mentioned before, of Adventures of Mana on Vita, if they're going to also stealth release I Am Setsuna, which is available in Japan on Vita, but not here, if they're going to do that as well. Still, people are really stoked about this game. Spiritually, it looks a lot like Chrono Trigger. Yeah. As I talked to Alexa from GameSpot on our July exclusive, which will go up in the end of July for Patreon subscribers, I do believe that I Am Setsuna and Star Ocean, although Star Ocean isn't very good apparently, were the tip of the spear of a JRPG revolution or a renaissance that's happening that's going to coincide with Persona 5 and Final Fantasy 15 and all these other games. So I think that I Am Setsuna is certainly going to be up there. I think that game's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, everything so far looks like they're just nailing it. Like, it's being made by people that obviously care about the genre and what it meant to them growing up and playing those games. Like, down to the music, down to the look of the character designs and just their outfits and everything. Like, the way that it's written. Man, I'm very, very stoked about that. And it does seem like the perfect Vita game.
Yeah, it does. Square Enix is so inconsistent with this shit, but I really do feel like that Adventures of Mana release is weird on Vita. They didn't talk about it until the game was out, and I feel like maybe they'll do the same thing.
Wait, so what's the story there? Was it on mobile already?
It was released on mobile and Vita in Japan, and then it was released the day it was supposed to come out, I think, on mobile here. They also, it just snuck onto the PlayStation Store, and everyone was like, what the fuck is this? Like, you told us this wasn't coming to Vita. The trophies aren't up. The trophies aren't up. They probably did this very quickly, and people were asking for it. I just hope... And I'll say it more on PS I Love You next week, and I'll talk about it more on Twitter. I'm sure that let's go buy this game, so we show them that we want more of their games, because Square Enix is still supporting the Vita in Japan. We're getting Dragon Quest Builders, for instance, in the fall on it. So, and I think we're getting Dragon Quest Heroes 2 on Vita in the West as well. So, we'll see.
I take issue, Tim, with you saying that's the perfect Vita game, because the perfect Vita game comes out in the middle of July called Galgun. You get these girls, you give them the orgasms, you rub them, you do it. Shit. They all fall in love with you.
Sorry, Colin. He's won me over.
It's an Indie Creates game.
Yep.
In the middle of July, you said?
Yeah.
That's not on my list. So
I wonder why. I don't know if a lot of people are really excited about Galgun and the way they want to talk about it on a podcast, but Greg Miller wants to platinum it.
Banner Saga 2, PS4 and Xbox One, July 26th.
Hearing rumors of delays on that game for console. Still going to be free, I believe, for a period on Xbox One if you have an Xbox Gold account. For a little while in July.
Back half of the month, right?
Yeah, I think so. So, the original Banner Saga, which I did not beat, I really think that game's really fucking dope. Other things came out, they got distracted. It's about as close to Final Fantasy Tactics as we're gonna get, probably. It's mechanically way easier. There's a lot of choice to be made in the game, and a lot of repercussions for everything you do. And it's super dark. It reminds me a little bit of Game of Thrones, frankly. So yeah, in terms of its plot, in terms of its setting. The direness of it. Yeah.
And this one was a little shocking to me because I didn't expect it so soon, just because I didn't know. But We Happy Few, PC and Xbox One on Xbox Game Preview and Steam Early Access, July 26th.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That game looks awesome.
Game looks great.
I go back to that E3 conversation we had about it, where I played it at PAX a few PAXs ago, and I was like, I don't understand. What am I doing? Like, the game, no context to what was happening running around. I was like, all right, I know Jim's in it, so whatever. And then that trailer floored everyone at E3. Everyone walked away being like, that game looks awesome.
Yeah. I guess they announced July at that conference, but July now seems a lot sooner than it did a month ago.
Well, June went by in the blink of an eye.
Fallout 4 Vault Tech Workshop DLC coming in July at some point. Don't care at all?
No. I like the Far Harbor stuff I jumped into, and I was like, yeah, more Fallout. And I was like, this doesn't work. I've been gone too long. I don't care. Why do my character, what's happening, runs like crap here. And
do you think people do care though?
oh yeah, people like Fallout. I don't think Fallout 4 has the resonance that Fallout 3 did. Or, you know what I mean? You don't hear people talk about it on that level.
Here's the big one, guys. Pokemon Go.
Did
July.
you catch him?
It's finally happening. I didn't get in on the beta, which I'm kind of upset about because I applied and I feel like I'm a pretty cool dude.
They only let Pokemon Masters in.
Yeah,
You're not one
right.
of them.
You're right.
Spencer got in there.
Kevin's little brher.
He's in the
out
age
there,
bracket. They're like, no,
Pokemon
we don't care
going.
what old men think of the game. We
They
want the
most
young
definitely
boys.
care what young men and old men alike think. Then we get into August, the Division DLC, the Underground DLC.
I'd be
August
really
2nd.
interested to see how that does. It seems like the Division, like Ubisoft kind of broke the Division.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sad. It was working fine when I was playing it, but
What I hear from hardcore people, yeah, they're not happy with it. They're not thrilled. So yeah, will this bring people in? Will they get into it? Will they care about it? We'll see.
still interested in what their
shall
numbers
see.
are
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, the real numbers, not the number of registered players you've had. Great. What
Who's
is your
actually
what are your
playing?
concurrence
concurrence
look
tonight.
like? Yeah.
No Man's Sky.
Finally.
PlayStation 4.
Kevin and I are
August-
stoked.
August 9th. Yeah, Kevin's big on this
Got a
one.
morbid curiosity about this game.
Yeah. Kevin, what do you think about No Man's Sky? Let's get you in here.
Kick on that microphone. Dust it off.
Getting ready for my VR experience game. We're doing this, right?
Nope.
VR?
Nope.
No, probably
Wow.
not. Not
I
a
mean,
launch for
maybe.
sure. Maybe.
Maybe later.
Maybe.
I'm excited for No Man's Sky.
I am too.
Kevin and I have
Very
both
excited.
played it, and that's the biggest thing. I talk about the internet's expectations being run away with this, and that they all think they're going to get in there and fucking make their own Dagobah and chill out and live with Yoda. It's not going to be that. It's going to be landing on planets. It's going to be scanning stuff. It still strikes me as a game that, yeah, I'm going to want to. It strikes me as the perfect game for where I'm at most nights, where it's like, man, I don't want to go to bed just yet, but I want to play something, but I only have 30 minutes. Like, I don't want to get into something too deep. This seems perfect. In there, fly, land, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that Kevin. He's just never happy with whatever they're giving him.
Yeah.
When we do the Deus Ex Go thing, all he wants is, when's it coming to Vita? When's it coming to Vita?
Well, he's a good man.
Well,
That's the
that's-
right thing.
that's
That's
No
the
Man's
right
Sky.
question.
Where's the VR? Where's the VR? Good for you, Kev.
Kevin,
insist
you keep
that
this
get-
up. You're
get
going to
what
have to
you
sit in
want.
the room while we record PS I Love You XOXO one day.
Good Lord.
I don't think so.
Moving on. We got Metroid Prime Federation Force finally coming
I'd be
to
interested to
3DS.
see what that's all about.
August 19th. It's weird that it wasn't at E3 at all.
I think they learned.
But they showed all their other little games coming out.
I think they just.
They're well
There
aware.
was such a backlash about
Nobody
that game.
wants
It was such a weird
doesn't
backlash.
seem like they
I think
care.
it was a weird backlash. I think people are being babies about that game.
Oh, no. People about video games being babies?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that before, but it's just like it's a spin-off. It's not in place of a
know.
Metroid game. So
And wasn't Reggie was like, we know this isn't the Metroid game you want or something?
yeah, but even then, I don't know. I'm a bit surprised that they didn't at least show it off because they showed off a whole bunch of little games here and there on the Treehouse stream. So
It's dog water now.
it's dog water.
I'll never forget your story of your family members dying from dog water, so I don't drink it.
Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, PC, PS4, Xbox One, August 23rd.
Looks great. I'm excited about it. As
That's
long
the
as I
thing. I'm
can play it.
cautiously optimistic about it.
Like
You
the
know,
last one.
Nick
yeah,
is stoked.
Yeah, Nick's
we just
super
drove for like an
into it.
hour today, and he was like telling me about how that's his next game.
That's awesome. That's great. I mean, and that's the thing. Looking at it, it looks like a kind of game I want to get into, but so did the original Deus Ex. And then I got in, and it was just the battery and the controls, and it just wasn't for me. And I'm
Yeah,
hoping
Nick
this
loved
one
it,
gets
so.
Well,
I know
what do you
you-
mean the original Deus Ex? The
The last Deus Ex, I should say. I'm sorry, the
Human
reboot
Revolution.
for or whatever,
Right, right.
the PS3 one.
Then Madden, August 23rd, like clockwork. It's coming. Madden 17.
You're gonna play a lot. You said you're gonna do a season with me, right?
Didn't say that. Definitely not.
I'll play offense. You play defense. We go for a season. See what happens.
No. There's like that is something that I won't do. I will not play Madden.
But I won't do that.
The King of Fighters 14.
Nope.
August 23rd.
Yeah.
In North America.
Nope. The fuck out on that one.
Attack on Titan: Wings of Freedom finally coming out. I feel like that thing's been
It's a
talked
Vita
about
game, I think, isn't
forever. It's coming to PC, PS3, PS4, Vita, and Xbox One.
Hmm.
August 26th. In
Wonder if it'll
Europe,
be any
and
good.
The 30th. And
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
From what I've
it's
seen-
unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested from a story perspective because it supposedly goes beyond the first season, which is all we have right now in this universe of it.
Sure.
Because obviously the manga goes way farther. but
Obviously.
I'm excited to see it all visualized and stuff because it looks great and it looks fun. It looks Spider-Man-esque for the battle scenes and stuff. I just don't think it's going to mechanically hold
Okay.
up.
Okay. Who's making that one?
Tecmo
Okay.
Koei, I think. Sounds right. World of Warcraft Legion, August 30th.
Alfredo is
People are
juiced.
stoked about that. Alfredo played his first
I saw that.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, people who love WoW, they'll lapse and then stuff like this comes around and they get back into
Yeah.
it. Similar to Destiny. In terms of,
Sean Finney and all that. But I mean, it's crazy that it just has that staying power, even after the movie. You'd think that would have took him down. But
no. Movies can't kill video games.
a whole bunch of games I don't know about. Verdun coming out August 30th on PS4 and Xbox One.
Oh, Verdun, Verdun.
Yeah.
Verdun. Yeah, I don't know what type of game that is.
Then we got Fallout 4 Nuka World DLC in August. Grow Up coming in August, the sequel to Grow Home. Another one of those, back to the last topic.
Yeah.
It's indie, but it's made by Ubisoft and whatever. But like, I'm happy they're trying different things. People really liked the first one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it wasn't
you
my
dug it,
thing.
you
I
dug it.
tried it and I was like, it was like kind of a platformer, but it wasn't at all. And I'm like, all right, I'm not into this.
Sorry, I don't mean to be rude, by the way. This is Ryan McCaffrey texting me about tomorrow. He's going to be on Colin Gregg, so I just want to
I don't believe you.
get
Show
the
me.
instructions to you.
Show me.
Serious Sam VR, The Last Hope. It's PC early access. Just has a summer release date. Moving on into September, we got XCOM 2, PS4 and Xbox One. September.
Finally.
6th.
Very excited about
And,
that. XCOM 1. Or Enemy, Unknown, so good.
Psycho Pass Mandatory Happiness coming on PS4 and Vita. It's another one of those anime games, so we'll see. People really like Psycho Pass.
People are looking forward to that one.
September 13th. Recore coming to Xbox One. September 13th. I'm very interested to see how that game reviews.
Me too.
Because I think
It looks very mediocre.
I'm hoping that it hits the 7.5 range, because like that'd be cool. But I
Them
hope it
mid-tier
doesn't hit
games
that
back.
5 or 6 range, which it could. It definitely could.
Sure.
Dragon Quest 7 Fragments of the Forgotten Past on 3DS September 16th. You gonna dust off the old
Probably.
Vast
Yeah.
library?
I mean,
for that?
I probably will, yeah. Yeah.
Good.
I have to.
When's that Dragon Quest Builders out?
October, I think.
That's the real jam right there. Give me that Minecraft clone.
Yeah,
Give me some
October.
slimes.
October for builders.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead, Tim.
No, it's cool.
I apologize.
Destiny Rise of Iron expansion September 20th.
Go get them, Destiny players.
Mm-hmm. All right, here we go, Colin. For you, Sonic Boom Fire and Ice coming to 3DS September 27th.
Who's making that? Sanzaro?
No idea.
Everybody gave up.
But it's totally, they just need a Sonic game, so they're just doing. They're about to announce the next actual Sonic game.
Yeah, they acknowledge that it
So-
exists.
Yeah.
And
I'm
it'll be
excited
better.
about
That things have been
Hopefully-
wrong.
Hopefully, who the hell knows, man? We all know, but whatever. I believe one day we'll get a good Sonic game.
You
Again.
are. It's called Lego Dimensions Year 2.
No.
Putting Sonic on
Nope.
there. Yep. You're going to love it. You're
Nope.
going to have little Sonic in there.
I mean, I'll do that Let's Play with you. Thank you, Greg.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
That was pretty bad.
FIFA 17. I didn't even know what you were doing for a second. That's how off it was. FIFA 17, September 29th. Forza Horizon 3, September 27th. Back to the last topic. Racing games are kind of another thing that like they look AAA, but they're not really.
This
that's
seems to be
more
an
of like
off-cycle Forza,
Hmm.
right? This isn't Turn 10's not making this one, right? Doesn't
no.
Turn 10 make Forza games?
I don't know.
That doesn't matter.
not
They
a
start
quick-
talking about Forza and I was going,
Yeah. Like are the
Godspeed to
Horizon
you. Go get 'em.
games the core games at this point? Or
I don't
are
know.
those
I
the
just saw.
spin-off ones?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
don't
just
know.
when I didn't. It doesn't look like a full game to me. Or it's a full game, but it doesn't look like a real Forza game to me.
Forza Horizon 2 was the one with the Fast and Furious
too fast.
DLC.
But I could be totally wrong about that.
Final Fantasy 15 fucking finally September 30th.
We'll see.
Yokai Watch 2. I think that's going to be the next big game that I play.
15.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Yokai Watch,
No.
which I thought was going to be way bigger in the States than it is.
I remember that.
Yeah, Yokai
That was one
Watch
of
2.
your hashtag Colin was wrong moments.
September 30th. But the thing with
It's
Yokai
fucking
Watch,
huge in Japan.
yeah, it's ridiculously huge over there. But here I don't even know if the cartoon happened yet, or I'm sure it probably
I don't know.
is.
The first game did well enough for them to do the sequel, but to localize it. But I thought it was going to be way bigger because that game is massive in Japan. It's absolutely fucking massive.
I did not like that game, the first one at all. NBA 2K17 coming to all the damn consoles September.
It's gonna
It's
be a big
crazy that there's still 360 and PS3 games.
People are still buying them, man.
Install base, man.
Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice coming to 3DS in September. And the Division's second DLC, The Survival Thing, 30 days earlier than Xbox One. Moving on into October. October's packed with the big boys here. Mafia 3, October 7th.
Excuse me. I'm excited about that one.
Me too.
I saw it behind closed doors at E3. It looks really good.
Gears of War 4,
Yeah.
October 11th.
Definitely.
Moto Racer 4, October 13th.
All right. Skip the ones we
PlayStation
don't know
VR,
about.
October 13th.
Hell yes.
With-
You see that more VR pre-orders tomorrow.
Nice.
7 a.m. I'll be up.
Cool.
Kevin, get up. Be here at 6:30 to make me a coffee, Kevin, so that I can pre-order my VR at 7 a.m.
Res Infinite, along with PSVR.
Yes. That is the
13th.
best goddamn news. That game, dude, so fucking fun.
I haven't done the VR one. I love Res.
And that's the thing. Putting it on, like man, that was the first game I feel like I played that I was like, okay, I can see this is a complete experience. And I jumped in, and the boss went behind me, and I did the thing where I was looking for it. And I was like, wait a second. Turned around. I was like, oh my god.
Battlefield 1, October 21st. Civilization 6, October 21st.
Colin, we gonna lose you to that? You think?
Probably.
Last Guardian, October 25th.
There it is. Game of the year.
That'll be the next one I play. Titanfall 2, October 28th.
There it is. Game of the year.
Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim Special Edition,
It's a big one.
October 28th.
Big one.
Dragon Quest Builders, October.
Vita,
At some
baby.
point.
Vita.
Batman Arkham VR, October.
Cool.
You have to
Experience.
assume that will make launch.
If they want to make $1 gajillion, yeah, because that would totally be the one that people will bring that home and be like, fuck yes, buy it, and then show it to all their friends.
So the one game that was delayed was the Arkham Collection.
Yeah.
Do you think it was delayed for the VR stuff?
No. I think it's that they don't want to fuck up like
Yeah.
they done in PC.
Virtuous apparently needs more time. So they made the right move. Because remember, Arkham Knight had bad
It was a
juju
catastrophe.
on PC. So I think that, not that these games are coming to PC, but Arkham Collection isn't, but they know what they have to do.
They're probably putting Origins in the collection.
That'd be kind of cool if they actually did that.
They won't, but it'd be awesome.
WWE 2K17 coming in October.
Brock Lesnar on the cover.
Really?
Yeah.
Again?
Yeah.
All right.
The big man. Come
I
on.
guess that's a call they could make.
Who else are you going to put in there? Roman Reigns? The drug addict?
I guess you're right.
You're going to put Xavier Woods on there? Just a
Yeah.
nobody?
Yeah. I'd rather that.
Just put Chris Jericho back on there.
Yeah. I guess you're right. Anyways, November, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, November 4th.
I think it looks cool.
Yeah, looks really cool. Hope the story's awesome with the Naughty Dog guys. Or former
Honestly,
Naughty Dog guys.
the gameplay demo trailer thing they showed at E3 at the Sony conference, that
was
looked
awesome.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Dishonored 2, November 11th.
Hope people enjoy it. Know how they've been waiting for that one.
Not for me.
Nope.
Gran Turismo Sport, November 15th.
Big PS4 game this fall.
Watch Dogs 2, November 15th.
Right here in the Bay
Cautiously
Area.
optimistic about
Right here
that
in the
one.
Bay Area.
Pokemon Sun and Moon, November 18th.
I don't care.
I don't either.
Okay. Really? You don't care? Why don't you care?
Because it's more the same, man.
But that's
I don't
all
want-
you've ever played with
No,
Pokemons.
No, I don't want
Happy
this.
to hear that.
I don't want
You're
this. at
becoming
all.
jaded like me.
No, I've been jaded about the freaking reusing the same goddamn engine over and over. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done. December. Steep comes in December at some point. South Park: The Fractured But Whole, December 6th.
Yes.
Yes.
Fuck yes.
Yes. Dead Rising 4, December 6th.
Fuck yes.
Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8, December something.
Kingdom farts.
Last night.
Guys. Kevin.
Get fucking hyped about that shit.
Last night, Tim, Alexa got me drunk.
Good.
And she somehow convinced me to do a Kingdom Hearts Let's Play with you and her
Okay.
next to me doing commentary. So we have
Okay,
to do
good.
that at some point.
I would love that. I've always wanted to do Let's Plays for Kingdom Hearts. It's just hard because it's such a long
It's a role-playing
game. Yeah, it's like not really well equipped for that. We could do a stream. We could figure that out.
No.
Okay. Fuck you.
We're going to do
man.
an 8-hour Let's Play and put up on YouTube.
Then there's a whole bunch of other games that are
Subscribe
just don't really have any actual dates yet in 2016, but we know are coming. Neo on PS4, Outlast 2,
Outlast 2 I'm stoked about.
the Star Wars X-Wing VR mission thing, Paper Mario Color Splash on Wii U. Yeah, it was a World of Final Fantasy. was the
It's
other
a
one.
Vita.
world of
Yep,
Final
coming to Vita.
Fantasy.
People seem to really be into that. Did you see the trailer at E3 for that? Looks cool.
Yeah, it
Looks
does.
way more like a tradition. That's like, this is what you want, Colin.
We'll see. If it's like Mystic Quest, I'm going to be pissed. Like baby's first fucking role-playing game, which is what I sense it's going to be. But yeah. I remember getting Mystic Quest on eBay for Super Nintendo when I was in 9th grade.
Oh, man.
And
that must have been a moment.
Because that was one Final Fantasy game I never owned. And I was like, this is fucking an embarrassment. I can't believe this game even exists. Oh my God. That game
You screwed me.
Is it Mystic or Mystical Quest? Mystical Quest, maybe it's one of those.
Mystic. It's Mystic.
Mystic
Quest. Yeah.
Game fucking sucks.
All right. Next topic. Let's talk about the games coming out next year.
Oh, the
2017.
2017 games.
Yeah. I'm happy that in the 2016, there's not too many that we think are going to get delayed because most of them already did.
Sure.
So,
That's why you can be
but
so
at least
sure
most
about
ones that got
2017.
delayed have release dates. So that's good. Like actual numbers.
Yeah.
It's not just, it's going to come at some point. You know?
I'll be interested to see what all you put on this list.
We'll see. Scalebound is coming out.
When?
Got that down for just next year. There's not a actual.
Okay.
This is backwards now. So Scalebound, Sea of Thieves, Crackdown 3.
Crackdown 3, yes.
Really, you're a Crackdown fan?
Yeah, I like Crackdown 1 quite a bit.
Sea of Thieves is interesting because so many people seem to be very, very, very high on it after E3. Like it won a bunch of awards and a bunch of stuff. And like I was telling you, that was to me the low point of any of the press conferences where I was like, this is garbage. Playing it, had a lot of fun, entirely attribute it to the setup that we had, the people around us. So I think that people are going to be a little upset about that.
The wind whispers evolve, but will you listen?
I won't.
Thank you.
That's
Wait,
for
what?
sure. I will. I'm already sold. Detroit Become Human at some point.
Fuck yes. But I do think that could get delayed. Which is funny because I thought they might. My prediction was they'd give a date and it would be this fall. And then when they didn't and they gave another character, I was like, oh, right. I forgot, of course. You guys are very ambitious. I could see this being delayed.
Mm-hmm. Crash Bandicoot 1 to 3 remastered. I am so excited.
I don't think that'll get delayed. But
it doesn't have a date yet.
Yeah.
Next year is when they're targeting, so that'll be fine. Overkill's The Walking Dead.
Oh, right.
That's a thing.
Fuck, that's been... God, I forgot all about that game.
We did a conversation about that years ago now.
We were at IGN, though, right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. And they made the weird thing where it's a VR game, right? Isn't that what they did? Isn't it just on one of the VRs?
Oh, is it? I don't even remember.
I'm going to drill into that because once they said that, I kind of stopped paying attention to it because I was like, all right, see you later.
Then there's... I don't know how to say this, but Nier Automata. Have you seen this shit?
Yeah.
It looks fucking
Have you
awesome.
seen this shit?
Yeah, it looks cool. Star Ocean looked cool too. So I'm skeptical about this game. But Platinum's making it, I think. So I'm also skeptical about it. I'm gonna look into that as well because I think Nier is being made by Platinum. The original Nier is like a cult classic though. I don't know if you played it, but it was a cool game. I played it for like 10 hours maybe. Weird is how I would describe it.
This one looks cool. It's giving me Onimusha vibes.
Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, the Onimusha vibes are coming from what the fuck's that game called?
I apologize.
The Tecmo Koei game. Neo, right. That's where the fucking...
But see, that's a little too hardcore
Platinum's
for me.
making the game.
That one, that's Onimusha mixed with the Dark Souls stuff. And I'm just like...
Looks fucking awesome.
It does look fucking cool. Resident Evil 7.
Stoked.
January 24th.
Can't wait.
I hope it doesn't
PSVR.
suck.
PSVR.
January 27th is the release date?
Mm-hmm.
Delayed.
Sorry, what? Resident
Delayed.
I don't think so.
Oh,
I think it was delayed out of October, is my theory.
And I apologize. Apparently, Overkill's The Walking Dead is PC, Xbox One, and PS4.
Cool.
No platforms have announced yet for the VR experience.
No.
All right, guys.
Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 coming January 27th. Didn't you play that?
No, I played Sniper Elite 4, and I'm fucking stoked by that game, by the way.
Yeah, good.
I had never played Sniper Elite. I'm like, this is fucking dope. I was like, this is really cool.
The way that
Rebellion doing their thing over there. I had no idea.
The thing about it is they had reached out to us ahead of time before E3, like, we want to set up demos for you. And I was like, and they're like, actually, it was that they wanted to talk to us about maybe one day doing the Patreon sponsorship. So if they ever pop up, great. They didn't. So this isn't a sponsored thing. So whatever. And then they were like, do you know our games? And I was like, not really. And they're like, good. This is Colin's your shooter guy, and we are making Sniper Elite, and this is a game we think would totally work for him. It's a good shooter. We feel like it's going to be our breakout shooter. Like, people are going to play this and be like, oh, these guys are great at making shooters, similar to like how The Witcher was a wake up call.
It's really neat. Now this is new. This is not new to people that played Sniper Elite. I've just never played these games before.
People love this shit.
I was in a map. It was in the 40s, somewhere I think in Germany. I'm fighting Nazis at they have a railgun. They're protecting a railgun, and you're slinking around. I mean, I can imagine these games take for fucking ever to play because you're slinking around and just waiting and waiting and waiting.
So you're like a sniper.
Yeah.
You got to
and you have a sidearm and all this kind of stuff, but you don't want to be seen. Like they'll track you down and all this kind of shit. I was like, this is fucking cool. Like, I'm feeling this. Cool. I don't know if it's all going to be that good, but I really was actually like when I went to that deployment, I'm like, all right, like, let's get this over with. Didn't really know what to expect. And then when I was there, I was like, I kind of wish I had more time to spend with this. I had to go after about a half an hour, but that was probably actually the game I went hands on with the exception of Horizon the most at E3 in terms of length. I liked it.
It also comes to my attention now as I finger my Lego Dimensions portal that you did not mention Lego Dimensions Year 2 in your 2016 stuff. So fuck you.
I didn't. No.
Fuck you.
It wasn't on any list that I found last night.
Well, it's because it's not a game,
6.
right? It's like, expansion packs and stuff. Oh. So that doesn't count to you, fake gamer boy.
Well, The Division was on there twice. With expansions.
Son of a bitch. Tim.
And so is Destiny.
Fallout.
But you understand these are toys. The toys are the expansion of the game content.
State of Decay 2.
I understand their toys.
Yes.
2017.
I can't fucking wait. I could see it being delayed. I hope it isn't, but I could easily see it being delayed. I hope it isn't. But yeah, playing that together.
Undead Labs?
Yeah, Undead Labs up in Seattle. Me and Big Kev out there.
Big Kev
slaying
dog?
some zombs.
Slaying them zombs. For Honor, February 14th.
That game just doesn't do it for me.
Go get them, people who like it.
Sniper Elite 4, speaking of that, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day.
I'm all over it. But the same day.
Persona 5.
Persona 5. Ooh. Can't wait.
Halo Wars 2, February 21st. Ghost Recon Wildlands, March 7th.
Yeah, looks cool.
Another me and Big Kev dog.
We gotta fucking get on that
We
shit,
out there.
I'm going to play by myself.
I know you are.
Yeah, but we're gonna force you to do a Let's Play with all of us, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
You're gonna have so much fun. You'll come play with us.
okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And then it'll
great,
be
man.
well. Then Nick will say he'll play it, but it'll really end up be us three and Fran who play all the time because Nick won't play. His wife won't let him.
Tekken 7, early 2017. Pyre, PC and PS4, 2017.
You can take that and stuff it right back.
How was it?
Granted, I just did the trading and it had to install, so I stopped. But you can take your little sentiment there.
You're gonna play Wildlands with us once, and you're never gonna play.
Into one of those cool little love notes from high school, and you shove it right back into your pie hole, Miller.
I'm not getting any of that.
I know.
Back into your pie
I'm sorry, Nick's admitting that I am correct and
Yeah.
that he won't play those games.
Final Fantasy 12 HD, 2017, PS4.
I'm going to play it.
Interested if it comes out on Vita,
It won't.
because they're all fucking weird about that.
Yeah,
shit.
it won't. I don't think it will.
Need for Speed. There's gonna be one coming in 2017.
Is it based on the next movie?
Star Wars Battlefront 2, 2017 at some point. Mass Effect Andromeda, early 2017.
Yep.
That'll be delayed for sure.
Greg Miller. We got Tales of Berseria.
Oh,
Berseria,
I'm
yeah.
a Tales fan.
Yeah, coming.
You excited about that? What excites you about Tales of Berseria?
The fact of it's just a different look for them. This time, what's happened is you start the game and your character Arthur the Aardvark has died, and it'll be a journey through hell to get back to the front of heaven.
You're a moron.
Checks out. Faye, early 2017. Days Gone, just 2017.
Yeah.
Injustice 2, 2017.
That'll be fun.
Phantom Dust Remaster, Xbox One 2017. I didn't know that was happening.
I didn't either. I must have known that.
Death Stranding, God of War.
Death Stranding?
Mm-hmm.
Who said that?
Oh, well, there was on one list. That ain't gonna happen.
No, Death Stranding will definitely be delayed.
God of War, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's not coming. That Spider-Man's not coming out next year.
You don't think so?
No, but that'd be awesome.
No, it's not. It's not coming out next year.
That's upsetting.
You believe God of War hits?
Yes.
Days Gone hits?
Yes.
Okay.
One of them is definitely gonna hit. I think if anything, God of War is 2018.
Fallout 4 VR, Doom VR, Quake Champions.
Prey. Fallout 4 VR.
Do you think Prey happens 2017?
Yeah. Game's been in development for 3 years. By that time, before at Arcane Austin. So yeah, I do believe so. But that's needs games next year.
Ukulele.
I'm excited about Ukulele.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Hell
February
yeah.
28th.
Yep.
Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild,
Looking
along
forward
with
to it.
the NX
X gonna give it to you,
and
everybody.
a whole bunch of NX games. So we'll see. That is what I'm looking forward to most in 2016 now is Nintendo's announcement of the NX. It's coming.
That'll be in 2016.
Yeah, I know.
Is that
This
what you
year,
said? I'm sorry.
this year we're gonna get some event and it's gonna blow everything out. There's reports yesterday about them looking into VR but not wanting to say anything because they didn't want to show their hand at E3.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Well,
Love that shit.
they're looking into it all right.
I know. Whatever.
Figuring out what the hell it is. They're all putting on virtual boys back at home.
Whatever. I feel pretty good
Miyamoto
about
has
it.
a Virtual Boy rubber band to his head.
Please stop. I can't see.
Ladies and gentlemen, this topic has been brought to you by Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, it's all included with your Squarespace website. Let me tell you through the product let me run you through the product features, Greg.
Do it, man. I'm right here. I was thinking about getting Portia a website.
Good, because it's easy. Creating a website with Squarespace is a simple, intuitive process. You can add and arrange your content and features with the click of a mouse. Or if you're using a laptop, a weird little trackpad thing.
Yeah.
It'll work on
Sure.
a Mac. It won't work on the Origin PCs we use. It's fine.
They work fine. Tim's just a big baby.
Free custom domain. Squarespace makes adding a domain to your site simple. If you sign up for a year, you'll receive a custom domain for free for a year. Guess what? I have timgettys.com. How dope is that?
Guess what? Nick Scarpino doesn't have nickscarpino.com
He doesn't.
because he doesn't play video. He doesn't know how to play video games.
He does have nickscarpino.net. So. Beautiful templates. You can design a best-in-class online store with Squarespace. Award-winning templates, customizable settings, and more,
Hey,
all
what do you
without
got
a
for me,
single
Nick?
plugin.
Talking to
Nick's
a
here.
microphone.
What's up?
You can all go fuck yourself.
Wow.
That's what I have.
Nick's angry, but he does have.
Colin can stay where he's at. He's cool.
Thank you.
3. Shove yourselves up each other.
Okay, start your free trial today
Turducken.
at squarespace.com and enter code KINDAFUNNY to get 10% off your first purchase. Whole bunch of other brands and websites have used Squarespace to make their websites work and beautiful and all that stuff. Squarespace. Set your website apart. Beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, gotta have it, Greg. Gotta have it. That was for you.
Thank you.
Final topic of the day, as always, brought to you by you out there. You can go to kindafunny.com/gamescast topic and leave your topic, and we will respond to you. And thank
On the show.
you to Steven Insler for being the Patreon producer this month. Once again, the
Patreon producer.
Patreon producer, Steven Insler. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Super
Steven Insler.
Cerebus
Hot. Oh.
says, "Hey Tim and Grolin. Tim and Grolin.
That's our ship name.
Okay. Great. Hey, Tim and Grolin. Given Mighty Number 9's release this past week and the general reaction that it's been receiving, my question should be pretty timely.
The problem is that people are going to see it and do it to me all the time now. And you've cursed me now at every convention.
That's great. I like it a
Sorry.
lot. Something needs to take you down, Greg.
Yeah, you leave it to Nick Scarpino's idiocy to do it
What
to
he
me.
does. It's what he does. Given Mighty Number 9's release this past week and the general reaction that it's been receiving, my question should be pretty timely. What game has disappointed you more than any other?
Superman 64. Superman 64 was the one where I was reading an EGM and saw the first, Wizard Magazine, and saw the first screenshot of that. And I was like, I'm going to buy an N64. Like, granted, I should have bought an N64 before then anyway. I had a Sega Saturn like an idiot. So, I mean, like, whatever. But that was the one that was the kick in the ass of, like, this is happening. And it kept getting delayed and getting all pushed around, and Titus sucks. And, like, I remember trying to email people and get things. And finally it came out, and I went and bought it. And, oh, God, just what a horrible weekend. Playing that, flying through rings, being devastated, trying to convince myself it was good. Bad news bears.
Did you beat it?
No, I did not beat it.
Colin.
I finally came to and quit. I was like, no.
Draw distances were awesome in Superman.
Yeah,
64.
they were great. Right?
Games I was disappointed. Saga Frontier was a massive disappointment for me on PS1. I fucking was really disappointed in that game. I thought that game sucked. I was so excited for it too. At launch on PS2, Summoner was a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
The game
Wow.
also sucked. I thought that everyone was like, the PS2 launch line was fucking garbage, and I'm like, well, it is, except for Summoner looks great. Fantavision was actually a good game, and so was Smuggler's Run. But
Smuggler's Run, baby.
But I was really disappointed in that. And then I mean, a lot of games disappoint me now because I'm just hard to please. So how much time do you have?
You're impossible to please, someone say.
That's not true.
The answer I always give is Devil May Cry 2, just because that's the game that broke my spirits, where I didn't think that a game of that type of caliber could be bad.
Yeah.
Where it's like Devil May Cry 1, fucking amazing game.
Oh,
I love
Onimusha
it.
3.
I hate you. I really hate him. My God. Onimusha 3 is fan-fucking-tastic, Colin.
It's so bad.
No, it's not.
So
Jen
bad.
Reno fucking killed it. His whip was awesome and fun. You finally could control your characters in
modern
a way
day.
that made sense.
It's modern day Onimusha.
Yeah. In Paris.
Oh, oui, garçon.
Oh, les accoutrements. So awesome. Played like Devil May Cry.
terribles.
But with Devil May Cry 1, it was such an amazing game that when the sequel was announced, I'm like, all right, it's going to improve on the first one. And I'll never forget walking into EB, picking up my pre-order, and the guy looking at me being like, ooh, do you see the reviews? And I was like, no. And he hands me the Game Informer, and I open it up, and it was like a 6. And I was like, no way. I don't even fucking believe it. And I picked up the EGM. Similar. I'm like, oh no. Like, what? I felt betrayed. I really did. But the biggest disappointment in video games to me, honestly, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
Oh, wow.
I'm so upset that happened the way that it did. It was forecasted.
No, not like this.
We knew. But my thing is, don't call it Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. That means there's no hope of that franchise coming back in the way that I'd like it to. Ever. It's done. Totally fucked. If that game was called Tony Hawk's fucking fuck off Aru, it wouldn't matter. They could have ruined that and I wouldn't care. But they said this was going to be the sequel to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. They weren't even counting Thug or Thug 2, which were great games. American Wasteland even, good. Proving Ground, losing it a little bit. Then, kind of went off after that. But like, man, to give us that piece of garbage, that piece of shit that was so bad and such an just offense to the people that wanted to support that shit.
Right, yeah.
And it's
They
not
broke
like
your
it's
heart.
hard to get that game right. And they did a couple of things right. They got the soundtrack down. they nailed that much of Tony Hawk. They nailed the tone of it. The feel was just off. The goals sucked. Tony Hawk's HD collection, even that was like not perfect. It didn't feel as good as the old games did, but at least that was a step in the right direction. A lot of people like to hit on that. I think it was at least a good game. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
Never forget.
Never forget. And I never will. From now on, it's called Tony Hawk's Fuckaroo. Fuck Off-a-roo.
We said that game would be okay.
Tony Hawk?
Yeah, no, Fuck Off-a-roo. If they called it that.
Oh, no, I would have been okay with them calling it. The game wouldn't have been okay. The game would have been
my apologies. I
the same fucking piece of shit.
Okay,
but my feelings toward it would be different because I would feel about that the same way I feel about Tony Hawk Ride. I don't care about Tony Hawk Ride.
But that board was full of technology.
Now I'm all fucking upset. Ayanami Chan says, what games have the best writing? I'm reminded of Colin's review of Wolfenstein The New Order where he sold me on the game with his praise on how well it was written. Sincerely, Ayanami Chan.
That's a great example of good writing.
You talking about dialogue? You talking about story? Where are we going?
I mean, what does that mean to you? Because I think from, the story, I think Braid is a great answer. I think Shadow Colossus, they're well written, but they're, the writing, the dialogue's not necessarily there.
Sure.
Dialogue Portal.
Right. I think, in terms of writing, like Gone Home obviously speaks to me on an emotional level because of the writing, because of the, the not only the notes and the diary entries, but then the, the verbal journals that were clearly written by someone, granted acted as well. I know Colin always calls out Spec Ops The Line.
Yeah, Spec Ops The Line is one of the great games in terms of writing.
Big old Walt Williams is high.
Big old Walt Williams. He's here?
He was, yeah.
I thought he was in Texas.
Well, no, he's not living here.
Recent games, I think Wolfenstein is a great example. I would give a shout out to Valiant Hearts. I thought that was a really well written game, the Ubisoft game. Also, Child of Light, I think, was a fucking immaculately written game. Actually, another Ubisoft kind of bite-sized Ubi art or whatever they fucking call that stuff game. Banner Saga, we were talking about that earlier in the show. Great written game. There's a lot of good writing in games. The thing, and BioShock, of course, is probably one of the ultimate writing experiences in games. I think that the good news is that we have a lot of examples now.
Yeah.
So
obviously the Uncharted series.
Sure.
I think in the bigger space, Grand Theft Auto is always crazy impressive to me. How much writing is in it that's quality. It's like all the characters are fleshed out in a way that it feels like a good movie, not just like it feels like a movie. It feels like a good movie. And
sure.
They do a great job with that. Thinking about some more like character driven stuff, like Silent Hill 2 really stands out to me. As the writing really built that world.
Pyramid Head.
And then the Paper Mario, and specifically Mario and Luigi games on the GBA. Like those really, and all the Mario RPGs. They did a really good job of, at least the older ones, of kind of giving character to those characters, making Luigi a actual person.
Sure.
Ratchet and Clank, super funny.
Yep.
Nailed the
new Ratchet
tone
is
of
very
all
well
that stuff. I think all of the Ratchets. Like I remember the new Ratchet to me just nailed how good they used to do it too. Just have that same feeling. Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, was really good at being funny and making you feel like a likable character. Xenomike says, hi guys, regarding the death of E3, what's the point of interviewing developers at these events anymore? I appreciate that they want to speak romantically about their game, but it took a year of exclusive Sean Murray interviews to give me the same info that 20 minutes of gameplay from IGN did. Stay home and work on something tangible to advertise, or travel thousands of miles to give the same interview 3 or 4 times per year.
Oh, they do
What's
way more
up
than
with
3 or
this?
4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Greenberg, tweeted out the other day, he was like, I think Scooter set up something like 40 some interviews for him or whatever. Not a game maker, but that's the kind of E3 schedule you face when you're out there to promote a game or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, the point is marketing. E3 is for marketing. E3 is not for news. It took you a year of interviews from Sean Murray to get the same thing you got at 20 minutes. Exactly. Because the people are, where's the video game journalism? Where's the video game? Video game journalism isn't sitting down and talking to somebody because they're going to get to a point and go, we're not ready to talk about that. We're not talking about that. You talk to somebody, we read these things about people responding from the, Ubisoft and Activision, all these different people talking about what they think of Scorpio and PlayStation 4 and Neo or whatever, right? And can we believe it? I mean, clearly this was set up through their PR department and everything else. I don't know if this is their honest to God feelings on this matter. Yeah, I mean, what are the point of watching these? The point of watching these is to get little bits and tidbits. I don't think it's meant to be that you are, it's this weird thing where I think when you're talking about E3 interviews, you're talking about being committed to a team, whether it's GameSpot, Kind of Funny, IGN, whoever, and you sit there and you watch everything. If you're committed to No Man's Sky, and so you hop around to see every No Man's Sky interview done, that's a bad example. So Horizon, every E3 Horizon stop that Herman makes, then yeah, you're watching them because you hope to hear a little bit of new things out of somebody. But it's the same thing we always talk about with E3. Why not sit back and wait and have one article that newses everything and find it that way? Like, there's no, what's the point of all this? The point is marketing, to get out there in front of IGN's audience and Kind of Funny's audience and GameSpot's audience to tell them why this game's great.
Any thoughts?
No, not really. I mean, I'm tired of talking to a lot of developers on the record because it just sucks. Like that's just the reality of the situation. Like no one says anything. I was actually talking to a well-known game developer at E3, and he was saying,
what you tell me?
No, and he was saying how
Ken Levine.
Ken Levine, and he was saying how the industry's way too secretive and it's lame, and there's like it's all predicated on secrets. And he was saying how in the movie industry they announced the movie like 4 years ahead of time before it's even written, and then they talk very candidly about its production and all this kind of stuff. And no one cares. And in this world, like everyone cares and everyone's keeping their secrets as if everyone's trying to steal everyone's secrets. Like it's a little much.
Sid Meier.
No, I haven't talked to Sid Meier
Will
since
Wright.
GDC last year. Never talked to
David
Will Wright.
Ballard.
David Ballard's not a well-known game developer.
In our group of audience, he is.
You said Ken Levine, Sid Meier, Will Wright, and all right.
The Geek Galore says, I've never played a true JRPG before, and the genre seems extremely daunting. What's a good entry point into such a huge and saturated genre? I know there's a lot of awful JRPGs, and I'm aware of the staples of the genre. I just feel overwhelmed overall.
Persona 4 Golden.
For what you do.
No, I wouldn't start with
Persona 4
The
Golden.
game's way too big. I would go back. I try. I think Final Fantasy 4 is actually a great entry
Really?
point. Yeah.
You wouldn't say 6, just
6 is a better game, but 4 is way more manageable and smaller. So I think that you want to have, I think 4 is a great place to see why story matters, why characters matter, how systems work, and all that kind of stuff. I think 4 would be a great place to go. And you can play that on you can play that on Super Nintendo, obviously. You can play it on PS1, and the PS1 Classic's on PS3 and Vita. You can play it on PSP in the collection. You can play a lot of different ways. Wii U, I think.
Yeah.
So a lot of places to play that game.
I'd go 6 or Chrono Trigger. I think both of those are pretty good entry points. I mean, they're obviously some of the best games ever made. So it's like, I think that they represent the genre well as holding up today and having the stories and characters and gameplay that makes sense.
I think 6 is like one of my favorite games of all time. I think it is better than 4, but I think it's so big. You rather have.
But I mean, if you're going then I'd say Pokemon. It's like I think that 6 represents
Pokemon doesn't have.
JRPGs
But Pokemon doesn't have all of the elements of what makes an RPG good. It has one element of what makes an RPG good, which is the mechanics or like the battling, but it doesn't have a story. Pokemon's story sucks.
Pokemon story's fucking awesome.
You got to catch them all.
You do, motherfuckers. Let's see what's going on here. Reverse Flash says, hey guys, Resident Evil 7 was announced at E3 this year, and much to my surprise, it's a first-person game. I'm all for the game going back to more horror, but changing the perspective? Resident Evil has always been third person. I've enjoyed every installment up to this point, even though 6 was a bit on the disappointing side compared to the other games in the series. Why change the perspective? How do you guys feel about this change? Personally, I'm a big RE fan and Bob. Okay, yeah.
It's time for a change. Enough is enough, and it's time for a change, as Owen Hart would say. Like, you know what I mean? You've had a lot of third-person Resident Evil games with their tanky controls, and they're shooting people in the head and not mattering. And then these last 2 that are just action games. Let them do something. Let them get back to basics. Let them define what Resident Evil needs to be from here on out.
Yep.
Because going off in the direction they've been going, I don't think ends well for them.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this many times about the Resident Evil with the VR. I think that adds a whole new layer that brings horror back into this in the most important way. I think the horror and the making gamers feel something is the most important thing that Resident Evil can do. And I think that adding the first-person perspective is a step towards that. We saw it with PT. There's something about it being you that is scarier than seeing the character. So I think it's a good call because Resident Evil, as far as I'm concerned, is dead. And I don't think that having a third-person game, it's not different enough for people to give a fuck to come back or to come in for the first time and care.
Sure.
Arb says, hey,
Hey,
coolest
Arb.
dudes, Tim included. Thank you. Not a specifically games-related question, but bear with me. Why do comment sections exist? The IGN comment section for the articles is a haven for the worst display of behavior on the internet. On the review for the Technomancer, one commenter says that the reviewer is a douchebag who couldn't play very well. Why doesn't IGN just turn the comment section off? What reasons could they have for keeping it? It can't be for the sense of community. If anything, it'd be a negative community. Does having a comment section generate a boost in generate or boost traffic to the article in some way?
Colin?
Yes, it does, and that's why they keep them on. I fought for years to get the comments shut off at IGN, as these guys can tell you. So to get comments shut off. I think comment sections are terrible. That's why I think that our comment sections in our videos are actually usually pretty positive, which is rare. But I don't think I really literally don't think anything of value would be lost at all if you got rid of all comment sections ever on the internet. So they are negative. They bring out the worst in people. And yeah, the reason that they're kept on in a lot of places is because people go and look in the comments and they go back and look in the comments again and they check the comments again and it's good for page churn. So that's why they're there. And that's not an IGN exclusive thing. That's everyone.
Yeah, no, it's everyone. I'm on kind of the other end of you. I agree that a lot of the comment sections are horrible, but that's what good moderation is for. And it's hard. It's difficult. There's no solution to this because you can't solve people. People suck, period. But I think the comment section is for discussions. It's for, like, earlier in this episode, you're talking about that PC game. You didn't know what it was. I'm sure people will discuss it. And
our comment section are an exception to the rule, though.
And even then, I don't necessarily think they totally are. Like, there's a lot of bullshit even in our comment sections, but that's how it is. But I think that with IGN, it doesn't work 90% of the time, but it's that 10% of the time that I think it's worth having it, because then there is a sense of community and there is a sense of having a conversation about the thing that just happened. So it's like like this and click this and subscribe here and leave a comment below. Like, so much of that is just kind of like redundant bullshit, but you could use that to actually start an actual conversation with people and give your opinions. And I think that you can stand out that way. And the reason people have it, it's page views. That's the easy business answer. Is there's a shit ton of that because people come back time and time again. And I think that there's the positivity factor of it is what wins out in terms of the page views. People coming and talking all this shit. Like, Pear was talking about this at his VidCon panel that he did, where it's like the problem with places like IGN is they're fundamentally built on fighting. Like, you're either a Battlefield guy or a Call of Duty guy. You're either a PlayStation guy or an Xbox guy. And I think that is why comment sections on sites like that seem so heated all the time, is because it is. People are arguing and disagreeing. And I think for us, maybe sometimes it's better because we kind of have a slant, and I think that's why people agree. And that's why when Xbox shit's brought up, it's a fucking terror zone down there. And that's terror zone. But, I just think that, I think that overall it's on people's personal responsibility to try to be good and try to respond positively when you see something you like down there. Get involved in the good conversations. Don't get involved in the bad ones, and keep that going. Because the more people that are having positive conversations, then people are going to stop bitching about comment sections being bad and start focusing on making them better. And I think that IGN can't make them better. You need to make them better.
Right.
So
it's the silent majority that needs to get off the bench and go down there and say something of value, and then talk to other people who are saying something of value, and not fall for the arguments and the trolls that are just there to get your goad to get you to yell at them.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's really hard. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the first ever episode 75 of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Thank you guys for joining me. This was a fun one.
Thank you.
This was enjoyable.
We'll see you next week. I love you.
I love you too.